Assalamu alaikum. Hi, Oracle Reiki Spiritual Healer. So today we're talking about the flood of confusion. The flood of confusion is the difference between truth and lies. So the entity wants to confuse your mind. The entity wants you to have this flood of confusion so that you never receive clarity, so that you are unable to cleanse the negative energy. So let me give you an example. So, in many centuries ago, a lot of the women who understood these methods, and it did not matter what kind of, background these women came from, as long as they were perceived as witches, as long as they perceived to have divine knowledge from God, as long as they knew herbs, as long as they knew how to apply the holy books, then they were unalived in many different ways. In order to send this type of attack upon women who were the healers of the community, who were the healers of their household. A lot of the understandings, let me fix my camera, guys. A lot of the understandings is that, if we label these women, if we label these people, these droves of women with this type of label as witches, then we will make, those people, other people, afraid to go around those people, afraid to eat from those people, afraid to, receive the spiritual healing that God has intended from the holy books, and our negative agenda can be carried out upon these chosen ones' lives. If we attack the ones who know how to cleanse this negative energy, I have, received different types of understandings from men. As a matter of fact, I received a call from a male, and he was talking about, his girlfriend. And so when you're talking about your girlfriend and you're talking about, well, I'm not going to get married, that sends off a red flag when you're talking to a chosen one, when you're talking to a spiritual healer that knows the book. And this person proceeded to tell me, that she did not want to go to church with him because you're not for real, sir. You're not a real, provider. You're not a real leader. You haven't been sent in that person's life, in that female's life, from God. That's someone that you chose because of your beauty, because of, whatever attracted you to them, sir. Okay, now just look at you. So therefore, we have these types of understandings. We have these types of understandings that, a lot of attacks upon women and the flood of confusion that surrounds women, that yes, we are the weaker vessel. But that doesn't make us, less of, understanding matters. And we have that in the Holy Bible, by telling men that God gave us to you as a helpmeet, as an advisor, to help strengthen the family unit, to help strengthen the community. That takes nothing away from your authority. But when you allow the entity to enter into your hearts and minds so that you cannot be cleansed from the attacks of witches and warlocks, from the attacks of sorcerers, from the attacks, when you are afraid to have an understanding that many of the spiritual healers have been cleansing, you from the inside out from the very beginning of time, the families. Again, another example, and I'll give you my example because, I'm a foodie, so I love food. So when I make, Swedish meatballs, then I use all the herbs and spices that we are putting in those in the Swedish meatballs in these recipes, and it is used to cleanse the negative energy. We are using the cloves, a tap of mustard. We are using what God has given us from the earth in order to cleanse this type of negative energy. And this is when I was cooking for people, and they really was loving it. When I was baking the pies, we're going to put the cinnamon in there. We're going to put the nutmeg. When I make the eggnog, we're going to use the eggs. We're going to use the nutmeg. We're going to use the cinnamon. And all of these things are a progressive way in order to cleanse negative energy that someone may have sent inside your body. Because we understand that these things are a healing to us. It helps us to cleanse the negative energy. Anything that God has sent down of the fowls, the cattle, and anything that is directly linked to it. We can advance into healing and use these methods as a progressive method of healing, even with the food. So these types of women that understood this and was cooking in order to heal the males, in order to heal them from the attacks of the entity, they were unalive and they were labeled as witches in an attempt to dim the light and kill the truth. And so you have more men who are susceptible to these types of floods of confusion, that the woman is doing something to them, that the woman is, the problem, when in fact, without the female, you could not reproduce. You could not. Neither the female or the male could not reproduce without the other. Although this is what, we have also problems with, males. We have a problem with the spiritual community of males and the narcissists of males who have the understanding that the female can reproduce without you, because we have the ability to understand that, the demons, the fallen demons, the angels from heaven, reproduce with women. We have Mary that reproduce with women. And so therefore, in that aspect as well, leads to a confusion, a flood of confusion with the males who have attacked women. So we want to be able to cleanse the hearts and minds of, these types of attacks upon the opposite sex and what the entity has inserted in our community as a flood of confusion. We want to have clarity, and we want to be able to banish that negative entity that is, attacking the minds of the males, attacking, the minds of the females, who want to be able to control and inserting themselves to control by going along with things that are incorrect, that are wrong, that are trying to attack the chosen one females yet again in society, in history. And so this time we have to make sure that we are cleansing the situation correctly. And for these types of attacks, I like to use the galanga root. The galanga root is Lojan the Conquer. It is used to banish the negative energy. Whether you are male or female, you can use this to banish the negative energy from your life. People who are sending negative attacks, and we understand that usually the entity will use people who are envious and jealous of you, of your light, who want to see chaos and, destruction in your family, who will cause, multiple disruptions in your marriage, in your relationship. And we want to be able to cleanse this negative energy from our people, from our men, from our mind, from those women who believe that they have to give, the young girls over into, being sacrificed by these entities. No, what we're going to give them is the ones that they have already, addicted, to the entertainment, addicted to being undressed, addicted to drugs, addicted, to fornication. We're going to give them those people, and they can have them. And I keep saying this to you. But for the young women and the young people who have been, attacked, by these entities, who have been touched by the evil one, then they can definitely be purified. And God has given us the means to purify these types of people, these men and women, these young men and women, by what God has given us in the holy books, just in the same way as he uses the elements to cleanse the negative energy upon the earth. We are going to cleanse that negative energy. And again, I have many different progressive ways, but we're going to use the Galanga root as a tea, as a bath, and you can reach out to me for many other progressive ways in order to use this Lojina Conquer Galanga root to cleanse any kind of negative energy that the entity has been sending you, to cause confusion in your household during this time of the holidays. They don't want to see you enjoy and peace with your families. Any kind of attack upon your finances, your health. It can be used to cleanse health problems, health issues, inflammation, cancer, diabetes, any kind of negative entity that has attacked your health, hired spirits to attack your health, to cause these issues. It can cleanse the inflammation. It can cleanse any kind of negative energy to cause confusion in your life. So this is how we understand what the flood of confusion is. It's an attack to create so many diversions in your life that, you start blaming each other. You start having, arguing amongst yourselves in a community. You start having problems with other brothers and sisters in the diaspora. And so therefore, those ones who have aligned with the entity will be separated, has been separated. But those who are, in submission to God and has repented to God, has become, remorseful for their behavior, then they are certainly accepted, and that negative energy is cleansed. You can use the Galanga root to do that in your relationships. You can use it to banish any kind of negative entity that has attacked you, or any kind of assailant to attack your mind, and give you clarity about any given situation. So I hope you received this message. Please like, share, and subscribe to me over all of my platforms so that you can receive a progressive method in order to cleanse this type of flood of confusion from your life. Book your life coaching sessions or your video chat sessions. Leave a comment for me and donate to my channel. I'm High Oracle, Reiki Spiritual Healer. Assalamu alaikum.